My name is Kristen Hubman, and this is my video project for Communications 120 on Fridays from 9 a.m. to 11:50 a.m. with Professor Chambers. Today I've decided that I'm going to interview my 12-year-old daughter, Mackenzie. She's a very intelligent child, very sweet child, but at the same time, she's also now 12, and our communication is not as good as it was even a year ago. So we're going to talk today to figure out what can we do to make our communications better. Our first issue that we're going to discuss is code switching. This is when you speak differently to one person than you do to another person, and we're going to talk about how that affects our communication. Our second issue that we're going to talk about is asynchronous communication. This is when messages are sent at one time and received at another, whether it be verbal, unverbal. It can work with like any sense of communication. So we're going to talk about how we can improve that as well. The third issue that we're going to So here I am with my daughter Mackenzie.
Hi.
All right, and so we're going to discuss first. We're going to talk about the code switching. So that is basically when I'm, for example, speaking to your brother or sister, and then I don't change the way that I speak before I speak to you. Do you think that's an issue? Why do you think it's an issue?
Because I don't really like being talked to like a 7 or 8 year old.
Okay. So, what do you think we could do to fix that? What could I do?
You could stop and think before you speak.
Okay.
So you could.
To make sure that I'm using the correct tone.
Yes.
Okay. Our second issue is asynchronous communication, which means that either sending text messages where one of us gets it later, or when we talk, if we're not getting the message right away, then that can cause problems, making us maybe think that the other one's not listening. Do you agree that that's an issue? Okay, so I was thinking to work on that. We can make sure that we take time one on one, alone, and that way we're looking at each other. We can see everything. We have the immediate feedback. Does that sound like an idea? Okay. All right, and our third issue is selective attention. This is one that I think you have a major problem with right now, which is if there's any kind of distraction at all in the room, you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. Is that something you feel is a fair? Okay, so how do you think we could fix that?
We could go into a room without any distractions and without any people in there to talk, or go on like a little walk.
Okay. And maybe just again with the one-on-one time, but making sure that there's no noise. The cat's not walking through the room. Your brother and sister aren't doing somersaults through the living room. Things like that, right? All right. So I think that we have a good start here, and I think that we have some things that we can put into place, and I think that'll help our communication out. All right. Okay, so I've sat and had a talk with my daughter to try to figure out a better way for us to be figuring out all of our. Alright, so I've sat and had a talk with my daughter, and I think we found out some good information on what our problems are and ways to fix it. Just to recap, the issues that we have decided that we're going to work on are code switching. We're going to ensure that before I speak to my daughter, I'm going to take a breath, I'm going to think about what I say, and I'm also going to be mindful of who I am saying it to, so that I'm not speaking to my 12-year-old like she's my 7 or 8-year-old. The next issue was the asynchronous communication. Both the asynchronous communication and the code switching were from chapter 1. And the asynchronous communication is a big issue just because it makes both of us feel as if the other one is not listening. So we would like to work on that and get rid of that issue so that there is a constant flow of communication and we no longer have to feel as if our opinion or what we're saying is not valuable. The third thing that we decided that we're going to work on is the selective attention, and that was in chapter 3. The selective attention is a major issue. As I said before, Mackenzie was recently diagnosed with ADD, and unfortunately, I could be talking to her and she's looking at the TV, the tablet, the telephone, the cat, her brother and sister, my grandma, a leaf going across the ground, anything that kind of isn't whatever she's supposed to be listening to. So we have decided that in order to work on that one, we're going to make sure that we go into a room, just the two of us, and we're going to have one-on-one conversations where there is no distraction, no TV. Her brother and sister won't be allowed in here at the time. The cat won't be allowed in here. And it'll just be her and I, so we can make sure that everything is getting said that needs to get said. And then there's no more of the focusing on something other than what is being said. With that, I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day.